least that's when I'm recording this, but who knows when you'll watch this. So, hello, hello. Welcome back. Today we are going to be chatting about the illustrious, the amazing Zack Snyder's Justice League, which came out a couple weeks ago, and I have now watched it twice. So I'm ready. I am ready to talk about this. I originally recorded a video for this movie, but the thing is, it was like hot off of me watching it the first time, and I was real hype. Because just as a comic book fan, and especially as someone who prefers DC to Marvel, I this is everything I could have wanted out of the DCEU. Just to see Snyder's vision in full force, unapologetically. I can't, you can't ask for much more in a film, right? It definitely has its flaws, and I'm definitely gonna get into that, but I just wanted to say that because holy crap. I mean, it really blew me away, and two characters in particular knocked it out of the park. So let's get into it. I mean, sheesh. Let me tell you, I was very apprehensive about this film because the DCEU, in my eyes, has not had a good record. I cannot speak today. My God, the DCEU has not had a good track record. Man of Steel was okay. I it was fine. I liked it. The last act was just full of action and them destroying buildings and killing thousands of people. So I could take it or leave it, like whatever. BVS, I despise. Not a fan of it. I don't like the characterization of Superman nor Batman. I don't like the inclusion of Doomsday. Not feeling Lex Luthor and his like wacky, zany performance. I just wasn't feeling it, and it was too jumbled. Um, it was just a mess. Like it was a mess. And then we have Wonder Woman, which I liked. I liked it. It was cool. Um, it had flaws as well, but it was a step up from the previous ones I've seen. There was Suicide Squad, which was just horrible, and that again, that was due to studio interference, just like BVS. Um, you're gonna notice a pattern because WB, they like to stick their hands where it doesn't belong, and it ends up fucking up the project. They have this problem with trusting the people they've hired to direct these films. They have a problem with trusting them and allowing them to see their vision to the end, and you can tell in the final product. And here comes Justice League 2017, a prime example. It's just like, my God, you completely hijacked Snyder's film. You brought in Whedon. He did all this stupid shit. It was horrible to me. It was horrible. Um, People were over sexualized. There were constant ass shots of Gal Gadot. It was so uncomfortable. Cyborg was just non-existent. His character was non-existent. Barry was weird, very weird. He's supposed to be a genius, and he doesn't understand the concept of brunch. I mean, come on. I understand you wanted him to be weird. There's a difference between being weird and just not being a part of society. Like, come on. Batman was all jokes, so he was essentially a joke. Superman was there. CGI mustache. But he was just there. Like, who cares? Wonder. I already talked about Wonder Woman. Steppenwolf looked a fool. Like it was just too. It was bad. It was bad. And people campaigned for years, and now we have the Snyder Cut. And when I heard that, there was going to be a Snyder Cut, I was like, I don't know. Like, is this really going to be better? Like, is this going to expand upon the first film? How much did they really leave on the cutting room floor? And shit, they left the whole movie on the cutting room floor. I mean, good God. Um, so now we're here, and I don't know, it's great. Let's look at each character. I'll pull that up. But in the meantime, so Justice League 2021 characters. Okay. This'll do. Yeah, 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 yeah. I thought it was a really good film. I thought it was a really good film. And like I said, I've only watched it twice. It's gonna be a long while before I watch it again because 4 hours, I mean, goddamn. Like I just, I cannot. I think for the most part, it's worth the runtime. There were some scenes that could have been left on the cutting room floor, but I think for the most part, it is worth the 4 hours. Like you're engaged from the minute you press play to the end. Um, so I enjoyed it, right? Let's get into this. Let's get into, I guess we'll get into the flaws first. We'll get the flaws out of the way with each person, at least, in my opinion. So, who are we going to start with? All right, on the end, we have Flash. Let's see, my flaws with Flash. I gotta be honest with you. Uh,
A few moments later. One eternity later.
Okay, back to the regularly scheduled program. I felt so bad. I felt a little bad. I didn't want to tell her to leave, but it's okay. Anywho, so the Flash. Flaws. Hmm. I really can't think of anything like major. I can't. I guess if it's something minor, I would say his running form. It could use a little work. It's still a little like he's like flinging himself. So I feel like he could use a little work with that. But I don't know. In this film, it's a lot better. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the desaturation. I don't know because in the Joss Whedon, it was so exaggerated to the point where like he looked foolish, and I just couldn't take him seriously. But in this one, it was a lot better. Maybe because he toned it down. I don't know. Who knows, right? But otherwise, I can't really think of any like major flaws without being like nitpicky. Because he really was a standout for me. He was one of the two that really took it away for me. He really just made the film. Next, we have Superman. He was fine. He was there. He was there to move the plot forward. And I loved when he came in to save Cyborg from Steppenwolf. And he was like, hmm, not impressed. I said, ah. Then he beat the shit out of him. Like, it was great. It was great. When he came back, that was great. That was a great little scene. He wasn't in it as much. And I think it worked for the better. However, I still will stand on the fact that they should not have killed him in Justice League. Not Justice League. What am I saying? In Batman v Superman. They should not have killed him. I will stand by that. I don't think Doomsday should have been in it. I don't think Doomsday should have killed Superman, because to me, I don't see it where you're forming the Justice League for the first time on the big screen and the Trinity is not involved. I just don't see it. It just doesn't make sense to me. But we'll kind of get into that when I get into Batman. But to me, I just don't see it working out as well without Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman being involved in recruiting the team. Otherwise, Superman was whatever. Cyborg. My man, Cyborg. I mean, this was his film, and I can understand why Ray Fisher was pissed when Justice League came out and 90% of his shit was cut. Like, I can understand. It's like, he is the heart of this film. He is kind of what helps drive the plot at major points, and you cut it out. And you made him like real useless. You made him real sidekicky. And I didn't like that because he is part of the Justice League. So let's see. I loved it. I loved it. Wait, I moved into like positives, and I was supposed to be talking about flaws. Jeez. Okay. You see, that's how much I love Cyborg in this movie. Now, flaws. The biggest one is his look. I'm not feeling it. I love his headpiece. I love that headpiece. Everything else it just looks bad to me. I'm not feeling it. And there's certain scenes where he's standing alone and like the camera shines on him and it doesn't look good. The VFX look real bad. And maybe it's the proportions because his head is there and his shoulders are broad and they match his head, but the legs are real skinny and it's just not proportional and it looks weird. And I wish they had taken inspiration from the animated series Teen Titans, because that I feel like that would have helped a lot. Like, why this man didn't have an actual arm cannon is beyond me. I don't know what like that little sword shit was that was his gun. I wasn't feeling it. Yeah, still not feeling his look. But I think that's it. Otherwise, he did great. So who's next? Next up is Miss Wonder Woman. Hmm. Hmm. She still has that problem of being literally flawless. Like, she has that issue of she's presented as someone who has no character flaws. And when you're dealing with someone like Wonder Woman, who's so headstrong in what she believes in and what she feels is right and wrong, and she's very naive when it comes to the practices and concepts of man. And when you're dealing with someone like that who's very stubborn and to present them as having no character flaw, that's a problem for me. That's a problem. And that is part of what took me out of her solo film. Like, literally, she was presented as like headstrong, but everything ended up being right. She ended up being right about everything. In not one instance was she wrong. Not one instance was she proven to be wrong. And I don't like that. Like, I feel like I need something that's a flaw. I need to feel like she has something at stake with this. And it feels like she really doesn't have a lot at stake, as um except for really like her mom and the Amazons. But as a character, she's just there, which sucks because she's Wonder Woman. The actress herself still cannot act. She cannot. I'm sorry. Gal Gadot cannot act. Mm. I was introduced to Gal Gadot like back in like Fast and Furious days, and my God, she could not act. She was literally put there because people found her to be hot, and that was it. And I feel like that same thought process went into her character of Wonder Woman and how she's presented in the film. Because you can tell, at least to me, you can tell that in the writer's eyes and in Snyder's eyes even maybe she is a model, she's a model first, warrior second, and that's a problem. Diana is a warrior first and foremost. Above anything else, she is a Amazonian warrior. That comes first. But in these films, she's treated like a model. I mean, in every shot, she has to look perfect. In every shot, she has to strike a pose like she's on the runway. In every shot, she has to like look perfect. Okay, so we're back in it. Like I was saying, Wonder Woman is like treated as a model first, warrior second. Ugh, Gal Gadot cannot act, and it really shows with some of these line deliveries. My favorite one being Kal-El, no. First of all, that's just a bad line in general. Like, why is she calling him Kal-El? Why not just call him Superman? You don't even know him enough like that. So why aren't you calling him Kal? Why aren't you calling him Superman or Clark? Like anything but Kal-El. Like I feel like that's the last thing she should be calling him because she literally met him in the last act of BVS. You don't hold that relationship that or that friendship, right? Maybe that's just me. Um and then the way she delivered it was just so funny.
Kalel, no!
In the Justice version, it was horrible. In this one, it was small difference, but it was still bad. Like, no, um, she cannot act, and that's kind of that is what really takes me out of her as Wonder Woman. That's the main thing is her acting. Her pieces are cool, but I'm not in the positive, so let me stay out of that. She's pretty much exposition lady in this film, which I guess is fine, but some of it could have been left on the cutting room floor. Like when she went in that cave and learned about Darkseid and all that, and she had the torch, like that could have been left on the cutting room floor because you were just gonna explain it anyways to Bruce in the next scene. So why even have that? Like just cut it out. Who is next? Next is Batman. Okay, Batman. Definitely improved upon, not as jokey, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that he didn't just kill people to kill people. Like I know that it's based off Frank Miller. I get it. I get it. I get it. Because I read that. I get it. But I just feel like even in that iteration, I don't think he was killing just to kill. Like I feel like it was in dire situations. You know what I mean? But let's move on from that because that's not, that's not a huge hindrance. He was cool. I feel like, so this is what I'm saying when I feel like I don't think the Justice League should have been formed without the Trinity because at least to me in the beginning part when Batman was forming the Justice League, he seemed to be forming it out of guilt. Like he felt like he owed something to Superman, which was really weird because it's like you didn't even have that type of friendship with Superman to even be talking about you feel like you owe something to him. You were just trying to kill him in the last film. And within the last 30 minutes, you were like, oh, okay, whatever, let's work together and stop this hideous CGI monster. So I don't even understand that part. Which is why I'm like, he shouldn't have been killed off because maybe him and Bruce could have built a nice little friendship behind the scenes. And then something happens in this movie to make Batman feel like he owes something to Superman to do this. But I still think it should have been the Trinity, because it's like, what incentive does Batman really have to go out and recruit these people? Batman likes to work alone. He will prefer to be alone, even in the animated series for Justice League. That man was a part-time member of the Justice League, and he's one of the original members. He's one of the original three, and that man was a part-timer. Like, if he could, he would be straight up just with Gotham and not even like worry about the Justice League like that, unless something came in and it was big enough to where it was like, okay, I need to involve the Justice League. So I just don't think he would have much incentive to truly go out and recruit these people and bring them together. Same with Wonder Woman. I don't think she holds that much incentive either, because she kind of likes to work alone too. And that's why I'm like, Superman should have been there. He's really that middle ground, and he would have been the driving force to wanting to bring all these heroes together. And he would have convinced Batman, and he would have convinced Wonder Woman. Probably Wonder Woman first, then Batman. um, but that's just my opinion on it from my, my time reading the comics and watching the animated series over the years. Who is next? Oh yeah. Last but not least, in the main roster, we have Mr. Aquaman, who was kind of just there. He had a basic arc. I have to work alone. And then by the end of the film, I guess I can work with a team. Like, whatever. I think they gave that plot to Batman in Justice League. So I guess they were like, no, this is meant for Aquaman. Um, he was there. Like, I don't know. He was cool. Like, his action scenes were dope. I loved them. But otherwise, as a character, I don't know. He just didn't really like bring anything for me. Like, he was there. Let's see. Oh, I forgot one flaw for Wonder Woman. That annoying music she had. Every time she stepped in the scene, it had to play. It was just like, my God. The first couple times it was fine, but then it just kept getting more and more blaring and more apparent and more frequent. I was like, my God, can we get something else? Like, she has a whole theme and we're not even utilizing that. We're utilizing this random song. And with Aquaman, well, I guess this is like more flaws in the film in general. So we'll move into that. Flaws for the film in general. They had this weird like Icelandic folk singing that they did after Aquaman like left and went into the water. I guess because they revere him as a god, and that's great and all, but the singing didn't need to last as long as it did. It was really weird for me. It was really awkward, and I could have did without it. Like, why? That's one of the things you could have left out on the chopping board. Like, no, ew. Let's see, what else do we have? Lois and Martha Kent. To me, Lois has been mischaracterized since Man of Steel, and it just hasn't improved. And Martha has really been some type of useless. All of their scenes could have been left on the cutting room floor, every single one of them. Because to me, Lois should not have quit her job and spent her days mourning over Clark. I'm sorry. The Lois Lane that I know, if anything, after Clark died, she would have stayed at her job, first of all, at the Daily Planet, and she would have overworked herself. She would have dived so deep into the work. She would have taken the biggest pieces she could find for a reporter. She would have put herself in the line of fire in danger. Like, she would have been reckless, and she would have been overworking herself and sort of, try and drown out her feelings on this and avoid having to confront the fact that Clark is dead, rather than you sitting around the house and moping. Like, that, to me, that's just not Lois. Lois is very proactive. She's a very proactive woman. She's a very proactive reporter, and she's not someone who is going to just completely fall apart and cannot function without a man with her. Like, no. Ugh. Martha, whatever, she's there, she's the mom. Like, I really could care less. There was that one scene where they had the cameo for Martian Manhunter, but that was kind of out of place. So they really could have just left that on the cutting floor and they, just let Martian Manhunter be revealed at the end when he's with Bruce. So, whatever. Other stuff. I think the slow-mo was a little overdone. It's very Zack Snyder-ish, so I expected a lot of slow-mo, but in a 4-hour film, I think the slow-mo was overdone. Like, my God, it really took me out of some scenes. Like, I think with the beginning part, when the Amazons were playing cat and mouse with the mother box with Steppenwolf, and Hippolyta was running out of like the little cave or whatever, and she was sliding under the door, and that was slow-mo, and we had already gotten like slow-mo literally a minute before that. It's like, just let it play out. Just let it play out. So that kind of took me out a little bit. And there were some other parts, but it's a 4-hour film. It's not gonna come off the head like that. Um, I think that's it. If I think of anything else, then whatever, I'll let you know. But let's get into the positives because there are a lot of positives. This was a really enjoyable film. Like I said, you're engaged from the moment you press play to the moment you stop. I mean, that's a real benefit because this is 4 hours long, and truthfully, it could have been, like 3 hours and 30 minutes, but it doesn't matter. You're engaged. I loved Steppenwolf's suit. I like the armor type with the moving parts, and how when Darkseid came, it just completely removed as like a form of submission to him. I like that he had actual motivation for getting these mother boxes, because I think in Justice League he was like in love with the box. I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna see him make out with a box, am I? Because I didn't sign up for this. But no, in this film, he wants to appease Darkseid. He wants to get back in his good graces, and he wants to go home to Apocalypse. And he ends up going home at the end of the film, just not in the way he expected at all. The way he died, the second badass moment in this entire film when he died. Oh, it was just great. And then Darkseid freaking stepped on his head. Oh man, I mean, so Superman knocked him towards the portal. Mind you, Darkseid, Granny Goodness, and Desaad are watching. He knocked Steppenwolf through the portal, and Aquaman caught him with the trident, and then I think he threw him. I might have gotten the events wrong, but whatever. He, pushed him towards the portal, and Wonder Woman with the final blow executed him. And it took me back to her animated film when she sliced off Ares' head at the end of the film. It was so great. I loved it. And then Darkseid was just watching me, stomped on the head, and the portal closed. I was like, oh my God. Ah! Oh, I loved it so much. Flash. Ooh. The way his speed was presented, oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. I loved it. You're gonna keep hearing me say that I loved it because I really did. I like how his lightning was blue, and when he went to save Iris, his like, you know, he burned out of his shoes. Like, he was so fast, his shoes were completely destroyed. Oh, let me plug this charger in. We do not get this thing dying. Anywho, so yeah, and he went to save Iris, and that scene was cool. Except when he like caressed her face, I'm like, okay, Barry, you're doing a little too much. Just save her and let's keep it moving. But anywho, that was great. And then he got the little hot dog for his job. I love the scenes with his dad. That last scene when he told his dad he got a job at the police station, that got me a little bit. I was like, oh man. You managed to make me like love Flash and care about him in this 4-hour flick. And I can't ask for much more. Like, this is a great depiction of Flash. And, he was still weird, but his jokes hit. The humor hit in this movie. It was subtle. It wasn't, it hit. Like, I think my favorite was when Cyborg plopped into the bat ship or crusher. It was the bat crusher. And he was like, "Don't worry, Alfred, I'll take over now." And Alfred was like, do I know you?" Ah, that was great. So, another positive. Alfred, he was great. I love his relationship with Bruce and how we get a little bit more of a glimpse of that in this film. It's done really well. They play well off each other. I like how he made the gadgets and everything. I liked how he had a little more to do, and it was great. Um, let's see. Cyborg. How did I forget? Jeez. Cyborg. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, this was his film. Everything with the relationship between his mother and his father was done very well. And the ending of his arc when he's like, "I'm not broken and I'm not alone." I mean, and he separated the mother boxes. He had a great arc, and it opened nicely and it closed just as nicely. Yeah, he was one of the standouts. He was the second character that did it for me. A true standout. Okay. Darkseid looked amazing. My favorite scene in the entire film. Mm, no, it's my second favorite scene. Is when Darkseid first arrives on Earth and goes against the Atlanteans, the Amazonians, and the Old Gods. I mean, and one Green Lantern. It was like ripped straight out of the panel. It was, I mean, what can I say? Like, you have friggin' Zeus and Ares and Artemis striking at him, like, and Ares with the final blow on his shoulder. It was great. It looked great. There were a lot of shots of him that you could use as a cover for your computer screen or phone screen. And that's what I'm going to do, but it looked really amazing. What was the other scene? My favorite scene was when Barry reversed time. Just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Every step, every step was rematerializing. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that. And you could see like the bones and the skeletons coming back because and another thing I liked was that the Justice League did not win outright the first time around. They didn't win. They failed in what they were trying to do. But and I like that, I like that little twist. I like that, and it made this even more impactful when Barry goes to reverse time because throughout the film he's like, I've never really done that before. Like I could do it. It's just I'm afraid of what might happen if I do, and then he doesn't and he saves the day, and it's really the highlight of the film. The climax is the highlight of the film for me. Um Darkseid looks great. When we see that little scene in which Cyborg sees the future and he has the Omega beams, love that, love that. Wish we could have seen him in the film, like in the present time, but not a big deal. Um, the epilogue with Joker, that was fine. I think it was setting up injustice. That was what a lot of the film was alluding to when they were like going to the future. And that's kind of what that's what BVS was alluding to as well, when Batman had that weird ass premonition from Flash that Lois is the key, and we get that again here. Lois is the key. They're definitely setting up, they were setting up Injustice. And it felt a little out of place here, this nightmare scene, but it was cool. Like, I digged it. I liked the conversation between Batman and Joker. It was nice. It was refreshing. Um, when he when Joker hit that dig on Robin, I mean, it shut Batman up. I mean, he knows how to go there. He knows how to cross that line, and Batman still won't kill him. But I thought it was nice. Oh yeah, Mara. I liked her action scene with Steppenwolf. Other than that, I don't care for her. Her accent was really weird. I don't know what that was about. Like, it was really weird. I don't no. She could have did something else. Um is that it? Is that all I have to say? I mean, I think that's it. I liked Superman's black suit. Um I like how they actually work as a team, because we didn't see that in the Justice League. They weren't really working like a team. Mm, yeah, it's a 4-hour film, so I'm sure there's a lot that I left on the cutting room floor for this review. But yeah, let me know, let me know. Let me know. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say. It was very nice. I loved it. And y'all should go see it. I think it's worth getting HBO Max. Check it out, reserve a weekend or a day, watch it, enjoy it. I think Snyder released a black and white version, which is the same film but in black and white. Yeah, go watch the film, guys. It's really good. My rating, I would say a nice 8 out of 10. Yeah. This is probably the best thing out of the DCEU thus far that I've seen. Because Shazam was good, but to me, this is better. Aquaman, no. Because I already talked about the other DCEU films. Um, and they're coming out with, what's it called? They're coming out with a new Suicide Squad, and Starro is the villain. So holy shit, they're actually like introducing Starro. I wonder where they're gonna go with that. Trailer looks good, so it looks promising. I'm hoping for the best. But anywho, this was the probably the best DCU movie by far, in my opinion. Go watch it, guys. Seriously, I would recommend it. But anywho, thank you for watching and listening to this long review. This is going to be fun editing because of the people who were distracting me during this, unbeknownst to them, of course. But yeah. So, anywho, thank you for joining me in this review. And I will catch you on the next one, which will be Falcon and the Winter Soldier.